guys, Meredith with ExtremeTerrain.com, and in this video, we are checking out this Pace Edwards UltraGroove Retractable bed cover in matte black, fitting all 2007 through 2021 Toyota Tundras. Now this cover is a great choice to consider if you're looking for a tough bed cover that provides solid security for the items in your bed, but also has the flexibility when it comes to storage and hauling any larger items if you have an active lifestyle and need additional mounts for sports equipment, or simply you're just using the bed often for a variety of different cargo. Now, while it is going to be a tough option for security, this also has a low profile and soft cover appearance to it if a sleek and seamless look is something that you want out of a bed cover, in addition to those useful functions that I mentioned that you really don't see with every other option. I do want to note that there are specific options to fit various bed sizes, so just make sure that you are getting the correct one for your truck. This cover is jam-packed with features, so starting off with the main operation here, this is very simple to use on a daily basis by just opening up the tailgate, twisting the knob underside the cover to release it from either side, and pushing it back into the canister, as you see here, fully compact on the table. Now, rather than folding or rolling like other choices, this is going to be very easy to open. However, when you want to close it, this will have a long pull strap on the back, making it accessible to pull the cover back into place when you're standing at the back of the truck. This also has intermittent locking function, so every 12 inches this can be locked into position, which is helpful if you need or want partial bed coverage while hauling any taller items or items that simply just won't fit under the cover. Now, along with the locking feature, I think one of the best features in my opinion is the res rail expansion system, which consists of T-slot style rails on either side where you can mount up crossbars or other T-slotted accessories, so you don't have to sacrifice exterior storage when you're adding on bed coverage. Now again, it's super useful for carrying any of those larger items that you can't fit under the cover, or it's just not easy to fit under the cover, like kayaks, snowboards, bikes, or really anything else, but you can easily store them up on top. Now this is a hardcover through and through to offer you the tough security that you would want for wandering eyes or anybody trying to break into the bed, or honestly, just tough weather on your truck. But as you can see, it does have a soft cover appearance, which I think is a notable feature out of this as far as the construction is concerned, because a lot of people like the soft cover look, but also want tough protection. Now that all is thanks to the rigid aluminum panels underneath as the first layer, and that's going to be covered by a padded polymer material, which is called ArmorTech, which is weatherproof as that smooth vinyl appearance, and it's not going to take away any of those puncture-proof aspects of the construction. The rails also have an aluminum construction to remain rigid mounting points for crossbars if you do plan to mount those up. They're powder coated black to protect against any corrosion, and that res rail system that I'm talking about also acts as a water management system to keep any water to the exterior, in addition to the rubber seals that are around the sides of this cover and rear and front drain tubes inside the bed. You do get an extra set of drain tubes, which is another notable feature out of this, to keep everything inside of your bed safe and dry. This cover is about $2,100 to $2,200 depending on the bed size that you have. It is going to make it one of the pricier choices in the category. Now, this has a good amount of additional features that you don't see with every cover, especially the res rail system. So if you know that you want crossbars on top of a tonneau cover, this is going to be one of the only choices available with that feature. This is also going to have that soft vinyl cover appearance along with the secure build, additional drain tubes, and the rail system acting as a water management, and you also get the intermittent locking system. It's a lot of features packed into one design that you don't see with every system. Now, I think if you want those additional features, you want to check all the boxes when it comes to a tonneau cover for the back of your truck, and one that's going to be easy to use on a day-to-day basis, this will be one that you'll want to consider. Install here should only take about an hour with some basic hand tools, so it's going to get an easy 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. At this point though, I'm going to pass it over to one of our installers. They're going to show you a detailed breakdown, step by step, on how you can get this installed onto your Tundra and how to operate it. So that is going to wrap it up for what I have to say. Let's go ahead and jump into the install.
For this install, you're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver, 1/4-inch ratchet, a 3/8 ratchet if you need one. You're going to need an 11mm socket, a 3 and a 4mm Allen head, various types of sockets that you need, and also an extra set of helping hands. Today we're going to be installing a retractable bed cover on our Tundra. Let's get started. All right, before we get our bed cover canister installed, we need to attach these drain tubes to the bottom of the bed cover canister and also drill into the bed to provide drainage for the bed and any type of water intrusion that may happen inside there. For demonstration purposes, we will not be drilling into this bed, but you may need to drill into your vehicle to get the proper tubes inside there. In addition, for the weather stripping, we will not be installing for demonstration purposes only because this is not a permanent installation, but you will be installing this on the back rail from here to here, and then also just trim to your desired length. All right, now that we have the bed canister and the rails on the ground, we can assemble these on the ground and then lift the entire assembly back up into the bed of the vehicle. First step we're gonna do is we are going to put our rails onto the canister. But first we're gonna make sure the locking tabs are out of the way. You're gonna wanna do that for each side because this will get caught while you're sliding on the rail system. There is a indexing tab right here at the front towards the end of the rail. You're gonna wanna count back at least 4 spaces and make sure and line that up. And once you get that lined up just about there, you wanna rotate it into place. And it's kind of hard to see, but line it up in the groove and then slide it forward. And then it should just rest like that. And then you're gonna repeat the same exact steps for the other side. All right, for demonstration purposes, we flip the canister and the rail up on its side so we can show you where the screw is located. You just wanna get the rail and the screw hole lined up and use your provided hardware with a Phillips head to get it lined up inside there. Once you get that secured, you're gonna repeat the same exact steps for the other side. All right, now that we have both of our rail assemblies assembled to the canister, I use a helping set of hands to lift the assembly onto the bed cover, onto the back of the truck. We're gonna slide this into position and get it nice and lined up. Eyeball measurement is good here. Then once you put on all your screws, you can kind of leave everything loose and kind of get it situated after that. All right, now that we have everything situated, we are going to install the clamps that hold down the bed rails to the actual bed. We have the cargo track system on this vehicle, so we're gonna be utilizing the extenders. If you have a different setup, you're gonna be using a different configuration, but pretty much it's the same setup. So these are all labeled, the extenders. You have your front left and your back left. We're gonna lift this up a smidge and slide this into the groove. And then that should slide all the way to the front. All right, some of your extenders might have a locking nut. You're gonna take a 4mm Allen head and unscrew it just a bit so you can slide in and make it easier to slide down. And then slide right in. All right, once we have our extenders on, we're gonna wanna position them just towards the end of the track system here, towards the end of the rail, and about 6 inches away from the canister for the front end clamp. Then next we're gonna take our track system cube and slide that out. This will be our mounting bracket and locking tab. Position that about halfway down. And at this point, we're going to take our 4mm Allen and just gently tighten that down so it doesn't move on us. All right, what I found was a little bit easier. If you put your bolt through the clamp, make sure it's the right direction. The taller side is towards the outside of the bed, and thread on your backer a couple threads. You can actually slide this into the track system. And then if your bed rail is loose enough, you can unscrew and kind of shimmy that on there. All right, once you have that in there, you want to slide this one all the way forward because this is going to be for your forward position. And then you want to position it about halfway through and repeat for the back end. All right, once you have your forward and your rear clamps and your extenders on the one side, you're going to want to repeat for the other side before you tighten everything down. All right, once we have the other side clamps installed, we can then go ahead and install our cap for our track system, and then we could take our 11mm socket, position that up, and tighten this down. All right, after we get our clamp bolts in, we're gonna take our 4mm Allen head lock screws and thread these in here. And then we're gonna wanna repeat for all 4 sides. All right, move on to the back one. Center that locking screw in. And then we're gonna wanna tighten down the locking screws and repeat for all 4 sides. All right, another step that you can do, before tightening all the bolts, you can pull the bed cover closed and lock it into place, and then tighten all your clamps down just to make sure you have that final fitment. And then you're gonna repeat for all 4 sides. All right, once you have all your bolts tightened, you're gonna wanna come in with your drain tubes. They have locking tabs, and there are holes for the canister on either side. You're gonna wanna reach back inside there and push that in. And again, for demonstration purposes, we will not be drilling holes into the bed for this vehicle, but you will need to drill your own holes to drain out any water that comes into the canister. All right, next we're gonna install our tailgate drain caps. They're gonna slide onto the end of the rail right here and clip in. And then first you're gonna feed if you have any holes in towards the rear of the tailgate, you're gonna wanna feed this tube through. If not, you're gonna have to drill your own holes. And if you need to, you can trim the length of this to run down inside there. For demonstration purposes, we will not be cutting this. I'm just gonna connect this in here like that. This is a lot of extra. You're gonna need to trim this down and feed the rest through. And then you're gonna repeat the same process for the other side. Next, we're gonna want to install our top cover plate. What I found easiest first was to move the screw holes all the way towards the front of the tabs. Then you can lay your plate on top. Get that centered. And then you want to slide each end back until you see the threads. And then you're going to take your provided hardware with your Phillips head screwdriver. Move on to the other side. And before you tighten that down, get it nice and lined up. You tighten each side down. All right, once you have that tightened up, you can check your seals and make sure everything's lined up. All right, that wraps up our install for our Pace Edwards UltraGroove Retractable bed cover in matte black for our 07 to 21 Tundra with the 5.5-foot bed. Just remember, for everything Tundra related, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.